The moon hung like a broken coin over the skeletal trees as Maren pressed deeper into the dying woods. Panting, she stumbled over blackened roots, the weight of her mission almost as heavy as the drought-choked air. She clutched her staff, a faded piece of willow, barely remembering what green even looked like. Faint, whispering voices rustled through the branches above her head, urging her on. In the clearing, starlight filtered around a cluster of saplings, the Last Grove. Maren dropped to her knees beside a twisted stump, fingers trembling as she brushed away years of dead leaves. Her hand paused on cold stone, a carved relic, humming faintly under her touch. Suddenly, the wind snapped. A dark shape flickered between the trunks, closer than before. Maren's pulse thumped wildly. She snatched the relic and pressed it to her chest. "Please," she whispered to the grove, "just a sign." The ground trembled. Roots shifted, forming the vague outline of a face. Tangles of shadow shifted behind her. Noises, footsteps. Desperate, Maren backed up, only to find herself hemmed in by 3 shadowy figures. One, clad in battered armor, stepped forward. His voice was rough but not unkind. "We saw what you found, druid. Hand it over and maybe you'll walk out." Maren's jaw tightened. "If this relic's so dangerous you want it, then it's too important to let you have it." Another shape, a flash of silver, a glint of teeth, slipped out from behind a tree. "She's got spirit!" it cackled, eyes glimmering unnatural green. "But spirit won't grow the trees back, will it?" The knight snarled. "Quiet, sprite." Maren, cornered, glanced between the relic and her would-be captors. The humming grew, a steady throb in her palm, echoing her racing heart. Something old, something wild was waking, waiting for her choice. The shouts of the hunters behind her grew louder, closing in. As the grove's magic flared, Maren made the only decision she could, and as the world changed around her, there was no turning back. Beneath the ancient boughs, roots curled protectively around Maren's feet as the relic's pulse intensified. The knight and the sprite hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden surge of magic. Night glowed with emerald light. Every withered leaf shimmered with a hope Maren barely dared believe in. The knight raised his rusted sword. "Who are you, druid? Tell us your purpose, or we can't help you." Maren bristled, but saw the wariness in his stance. "My name is Maren of Willowbend. My people sent me to save these woods, but I don't know how." The sprite tumbled forward, laughter sharp as knives. "You don't know much, do you, rootling? But the relic called, and you came." She grinned widely. "Name's Kith, by the by." Maren clutched the relic tighter. "If this is going to work, I need help." Above them, the wind twisted through the trees, carrying the scent of smoke, a warning. The hunters closing in were not alone. Something darker trailed them. The knight sheathed his sword with a sigh. "If you're truly trying to save Lyraven, we want the same. Name Seal. Disgraced or not, I stand with you, for now." Kith pouted. "Vow on it, Iron Man." Seal nodded. "On my honor." Kith twirled, plucking at the relic. "It hungers for truth. The prophecy, hearts entwined, wild and worn, shall restore what was torn." Maren's brow furrowed. "And if the relic falls into the wrong hands?" Seal's eyes darkened. "Drought will be mercy compared to what comes." A shout cracked the night, steel scraping. Maren choked down her fear. She wasn't ready, but there was no choice. With a trembling hand she pressed the relic to the ground. Silver light arched from its surface, weaving a hurried barrier around the trio. The hunters crashed against invisible walls, thrown back by wild druidic power. Kith spun, delighted. "Oh, you're fun!" But as the power faded, Maren looked at her new companions, the choice she'd made now binding them all together. They'd have to move, and soon. Beneath the moon and the promise of drought, the first steps toward hope, or doom, waited in the shadow of the Last Grove. Dawn broke with a bitter chill as Maren, Seal, and Kith stole away from the grove. The protective barrier had faded beneath the coming sun. In its place, a heavy silence clung to the air. Nature itself seemed to be holding its breath. Maren could feel the relic's pull, an urgent whisper urging her east into the oldest, darkest part of the wood. "Keep moving," Kale muttered, scanning the forest edge. "They'll regroup by midday. Hunters don't give up easily." Maren nodded, but her gaze kept drifting to Kith, who danced ahead, gleefully pointing out hidden animal tracks and half-withered fungi. "How long have you been in these woods?" Maren asked. Kith tilted her head. "Since before iron grew dull and kings grew cruel, since the first rain dried." She winked. "I'm as old as mischief and twice as stubborn." Kale snorted. Great, that's exactly what we need, the patron of trouble. Maren forced a smile, but worry gnawed at her. The prophecy. Hearts entwined. Do you think it means us? The knight's jaw tightened. Doesn't matter what it means, only that it's all we've got. Maren fingered the relic, her mind tracing its intricate carvings. Visions flashed, lush groves, laughter, then fire swallowing everything. She stumbled, breath ragged. Kale steadied her. You all right? She shook her head, swallowing the rising panic. It showed me something, burning. I think, if we fail, the drought's just the beginning. Kith crouched, eyes suddenly serious. Relics don't just fix things. They test you. The pain you saw, that's just a promise. Before Maren could speak, a branch snapped nearby. All three spun, hunters again, but these wore masks woven from bone and thorn, eyes gleaming red. You carry what belongs to us, one hissed, voice slithering through the trees. Kith took Maren's hand in a cold, fluttering grip. Time to run, rootling, or time to learn how to fight. Seal unsheathed his sword, calm but grim. Stay behind me. As the hunters closed in, Maren felt the relic throb with heat and fear. But under it, a yearning for unity she barely understood. Here, in the shadowed wild, their true journey was about to begin. Maren's grip tightened on her staff as Kale planted his feet between the trio and the masked hunters. Light flickered along the relic's edges, casting long shadows through the dehydrated underbrush. Kith's laughter faded, replaced by a steely glint in her moss-green eyes. The lead hunter stepped forward, thorn mask glinting. Return the heartstone and we may let you keep your own. Maren forced herself to stand tall. This relic belongs to the grove. You can't take it. The hunter cocked his head. The grove is dying. You, druid, are a weed choking its last strength. Kale swung his sword in a half-circle, steel hissing. You want it? Come through me. Two hunters lunged. Kale met them head-on, parrying blow after blow. Sparks flew as sword met knives of carved obsidian. Kith darted forward, weaving charms from fallen leaves, barriers of darting green that stalled enemy feet just long enough for Seal to send one spinning to the ground. Maren stood frozen, relic burning in her palm. As another hunter dashed for Kith's exposed flank, Maren slammed her staff into the earth. Enough! The ground ruptured. Shriveled roots burst forth, snaring ankles and dragging hunters back. For a heartbeat, the ancient trees seemed to remember what it meant to be alive. Shaken, Maren gasped. The relic's power buzzed in her veins, thrilling and terrifying. Kale dragged her behind him as Kith pelted the retreating hunters with biting words. They ran, breath ragged, until even Kith's steps faltered. Finally, they collapsed in a mossy hollow hidden from any foe. Kale leaned close, his armor scratched. Impressive, druid. Thought you said you didn't know how. Maren stared at her trembling hands. I don't. It just happened. Kith perched on a rock, tossing a pebble. Magic's like trust, rootling. Scary to give, scarier to need. A hush settled as dawn rolled into a gray noon. The trio nursed their wounds in silence, but the bond between them had shifted. Tomorrow they would have to follow the relic's pull through the deadliest part of Lyraven. But tonight, hunted and afraid, hope flickered, small, but still alive. Night fell heavy and thick, blanketing the three companions in hush and darkness. Maren lay between sleeping roots, every muscle taut with exhaustion. Kale kept watch, glinting sword across his knees, while Kith fluttered restlessly at the edge of their fireless camp. Soon, the relic's thrumming grew urgent, waking Maren before dawn. A dream had clenched her heart, a vision of a river, bone dry, with her own reflection begging for something she couldn't give. She sat up and found Seal gazing at her, eyes heavy but alert. Restless again? He asked quietly, not unkind. It wants something, Maren whispered, tracing the relic's spiral. It keeps pressing east, toward the Heartwoods. Kith, overhearing, grinned. You ever set foot in the Heartwoods, rootling? Even hunters won't chase us there. Too much old magic, even for them. Seal's voice was grim. Old magic is desperate magic, but it's our best hope. They set out before sunrise, Kith guiding them beneath twisted boughs and across carpet-thin moss. The woods thickened until no sunlight touched the earth. Every step sounded like it echoed through the bones of something long dead. As they pressed on, the relic pulsed harder in Maren's hand. Shadows seemed to follow, shapes flickering at the edge of sight. The trees are watching, Kith whispered, her bravado fading. Kale kept moving forward. Let them watch. We're not here to harm. A hush deeper than any night fell over them as they approached the Heartwood's center. There, between two ancient oaks, stood a whispering stone slab, carved with runes so old even Kith grew quiet. Maren approached, heart pounding. She pressed the relic to the runes. The air rippled. Light poured from the carving, swirling into a mural of the kingdom's history. Lush forests, a lost queen, and a terrible bargain struck beneath these very trees. Kith gasped. She used the grove's life to save the crown. Cale stared at the ancient queen's image. If we're to fix this, we have to undo what was done. The mural faded, leaving the question burning in all their minds. Could they pay a price equal to what was taken? In the Heartwood's hush, Maren felt her courage flicker, uncertain but stronger than before. The hush lingered long after the mural vanished, each of them lost in thought. Maren's fingertips tingled from the runestone, the vivid faces of the past haunting her vision. Finally, she broke the silence. The relic's power came from a deal, a sacrifice. But what does it want now? Kith's voice was softened. Magic like that never leaves for free. It remembers. It hungers. Cale stepped forward, eyes tracing the runes. You saw the lost queen, yes? She bound the forest's life to the crown, to herself. If the land still suffers, so does her spirit. Maren's heart hammered. Then we have to find her resting place. Break the old bargain. Maybe offer something new. Kith winced. Offer what, rootling? These woods take more than they give. Suddenly, echoes rang through the trees, the distant shouts of hunters searching, growing closer. The Heartwoods, it seemed, did not care for their secrets remaining hidden. No more time for doubts, Chale grunted, guiding the others toward a moss-choked trail revealed by the relic's pulse. Keep close. Don't listen to the whispers. They hurried along the vanished queen's ancient path. Shadows danced, sometimes hardening into spectral forms. Faces from Sothern's history, pleading, warning, or accusing as the relic grew hot in Maren's pocket. At last, in a sun-dappled glen where even the rot smelled sweet, a broken throne rested beneath tangled roots. Ghostly vines curled around it, and at its base stirred a pale shape cloaked in tattered finery. Maren stepped forward, but her legs shook. Your Majesty! The ghost's gaze locked on her. Its voice blended beauty and sorrow. You carry my curse and my hope. Why do you disturb me? Maren's voice trembled but did not fail. The land suffers. Can we set it right if we give back what you took? The queen's spectral eyes flickered. Would you risk all, druid? Would you pay the grove's price, though your world may change forever? As the woods closed in and distant hunters howled through branches, Maren realized the moment was coming, one that would cost everything, if she dared to pay it. Maren's throat tightened, staring at the queen's ghostly form. The relic weighed heavy in her palm, almost scalding now. Cale stood protectively at her side, while Kith took an uncertain step back, eyes wide with something close to fear. The queen's voice shimmered through the glade. All power needs balance, child. I gave the land's breath to my bloodline to stave off ruin. Undo it, and the land will draw life from those who dare to mend it. Maren's mind raced. If I offer myself, will it be enough? The queen shook her head, sorrow in every motion. Not one. The magic calls for bonds, loyalty, truth, courage. Until 3 hearts agree to pay the price, the drought shall never break. Kith shuddered. You want to bind us? Like roots tangled forever? I'm not made for promises. Cale's jaw flexed. And if we run? The queen's eyes darkened. If you flee, you'll watch the world die thirsty, all its hope withered to dust, as I did once. The threat of the hunters pressed closer, voices echoing between the trunks. There was no time left for doubt. Cale met Maren's gaze, weariness etched into his face. You need us both. My sword means nothing beside your bravery. If you really believe, I'm with you. Kith glanced skyward, the bravado gone. Quietly, she took Maren's hand on one side, then Cale's on the other. If I must be tangled, let it be with you too. A hush fell over the glade. The relic flared, throwing roots of light that bound the 3 together in a circle. Energy surged, pain and memory, hope and sorrow weaving through each of them in dazzling bursts. The queen touched the relic. Her body faded, leaving tears in the air where sunlight began to trickle down. The throne cracked, and the forest shivered, a breath drawn after ages of drought. But as the queen vanished, her warning echoed. The healing has begun, but the trial is not yet done. There will be one last choice. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dappling the ground with fresh gold. For the first time in seasons, dew gathered on the moss. As the queen's spirit faded, Maren, Kith felt the change in their bones, magic linking them, a shared heartbeat, steady and strange. But their relief was short-lived. Branches behind them snapped, and the hunters stormed the clearing, bone masks gleaming and blades drawn. "You cannot steal what sustains the world," the leader shouted, desperation fracturing every word. Maren looked at her companions, feeling their fear, her own swirling into Kale's doubt and Kith's panic. But the relic in her hand was calm and cool, as if waiting for her choice. Kith trembled. "We can stand and fight. The woods are with us now." Kale shook his head. "They'll never stop. If the price isn't paid in full, magic might vanish altogether." The hunters fanned out, circling. The relic pulsed once, twice. Maren understood. One part of the healing was complete, but the bargain had not ended. The cost must be faced willingly or lose everything. As the first hunter leapt, something ancient rose beneath the forest floor. Roots and vines tangled around the masked invaders, lifting them off their feet. Even as they struggled, the hunter's leader locked gazes with Maren and whispered, "If you give all, what remains of you?" Maren stood straighter, her hand tightening around Tails and Kith's. "If we refuse, there's nothing left worth keeping." Kith, voice barely above a breath, said, "What if we vanish for good?" Kale's grip tightened. "Legends never die, Sprite. They become the roots for something new." Light gathered, spinning them up in a whirlwind of leaves and memory. The queen's parting words echoed, "One last choice. The cost of life is sacrifice." When the world settled, the three arose to find themselves in an ancient grove, the world around them vibrant and strange. The relic gleamed, its greatest test yet looming before them. They would have to decide what they were truly willing to give to save all of Lyraven. The grove they now stood in pulsed with alien color. Petals shimmered blue, sap glowed gold, and the wind carried laughter and mourning in equal measure. Maren, Seal, and Kith hovered on the threshold of something ancient. The relic in Maren's hand felt impossibly heavy, its glow sinking into her skin. A vision bloomed before them. The ancestors of Lyraven, the lost queens and elders, all bound together by sacrifice, by pain, by hope. Their voices murmured around the trio. "Choose." Maren's voice was barely a whisper. "We've done all that was asked. Why isn't it over?" The echo answered, "The land must be given a future, not simply returned to its past. What will you lay down for those yet to come?" Kale's shoulders squared. "I've spent too long running from mistakes. If my name, my life can anchor this new hope, take it. Let Lyraven live." Kith knelt, her wild eyes filled with tears. "I was born from chaos, but I've learned belonging. If my magic, wild and old, must become seed for forests to grow again, I offer it." Maren felt the relic's power reaching for her core, her memories, dreams, every hope. The temptation to step back nearly overwhelmed her, but she steadied herself, drawing strength from her friends. "I give my future," she said. "May my days feed new roots, even if I never see them bloom." The world paused. Roots burst from the earth, encircling their feet but wrapping them gently, warm and cool, pain and promise. As the sacrifice completed, each felt themselves shifting, painfully aware they might not return the same. Maren felt her chest open, as if everything she had ever been was pouring into the dirt. Yet somewhere distant, Kith's memory flickered. A snatch of song, a child's laugh, a rainbow, each cherished moment pressed into soil and stone. Kale, for an instant, saw not his failures but the shield he could be for a new world. Maren, held fast in the root's embrace, glimpsed a future filled with little groves rising green where wasteland once lingered. But the relic did not quiet. A final ripple of energy spread outward. The test was not only about what they collectively would give up, but what they still believed was possible. Thunder rolled across Lyraven, magic gathering like stormlight on the horizon. Their choice had been accepted, but its result was still unknown. Would their sacrifice be enough to heal what was broken, or would the land demand more? Magic thundered through the Last Grove, shaking every leaf, every blade of grass. Maren, Kale, and Kith found themselves rooted to the heart of the earth, their sacrifices spinning through the relic like threads in a tapestry. The grove's sky grew radiant, clouds curling with green fire. Maren clenched her teeth, riding the agony of loss and hope. Around her, Seal's silhouette stood tall, his armor dissolving into roots and wildflowers. Kith shimmered, half fey, half memory, laughter mingling with tears as old magic left her, winding into the land. For a harrowing moment, it felt as if none of them would remain. Then a hush. The relic, now blooming with golden vines, lifted from Maren's palms and hovered above the ground. The spirits of the ancestors gathered in a shimmering ring. Their leader spoke softly. "You gave more than what was taken. You gave the chance for new life. This is the balance." As dawn broke, rain, real, sweet, world-healing rain, fell for the first time in years. Trees drank deeply, flowers burst open, and rivers began their song anew. The last grove, no longer alone, sent green shoots winding outward, reclaiming land long lost to dust. Slowly the trio regained themselves. Kale stood, older but sturdier, a guardian of the wild, his scars now runes of strength. Kith twirled, changed but not gone, a spirit of new growth, giggles trailing behind birdsong. Maren blinked through tears, feeling the world's pulse in her veins. The future was no longer hers, but she would watch it grow as a warden, not just a dreamer. Villagers soon gathered at the grove's edge, awestruck by rain and renewal. In Maren's eyes, they saw not just a lone druid, but the proof that sacrifice and unity could bind even the oldest wounds. "What now?" Kale asked, voice thick with wonder. Maren smiled, her heart full. "Now we teach, we tend, we remember. The land is healing, not because of any one of us, but because we chose to believe together." Kith threw her arms wide as a rainbow bloomed overhead. "Let's make mischief, with wildflowers and hope." And so the last grove of Lyraven lived, not as a single place, but every heart and hand willing to nurture what must never fade again. The world would never return to what it was, but now it buzzed with possibility. The drought was broken, and the future, for all its scars, was bright.